Is Twitter sharing things an issue? Okay. Thanks for joining my Periscope. Welcome. And going live now. Just pushing that. Whoops. Putting everything everywhere. That's good. Put that there. Mistake. Okay. Let's do it with the glasses now. Can I see that? Yeah, I can see that. Okay. Hi. Excuse me. Hi, thanks for coming in. Tatiana, nice to have you here. This is my Monday broadcast. And this one is basically about men, for men, but for women too, to listen in on. So, and this actually thankfully came out of, because I was sitting this morning going, okay, today's Man Up Monday. What I'm going to talk about. And as you can see in the title, I have a topic, thanks to somebody who posted a comment this morning on Facebook that just gave me a great insight into something I didn't talk about. So before I get started, thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming into my scope. If you're here for the first time, thank you. If you're a regular, thank you. And if you are first time, you haven't followed me before, please make sure you do follow me by either tapping the little guy in the corner or swiping right on the iPhone, up on the Droid, and tap on my ID and follow me. Also, be so kind as to share on Twitter, invite your followers on Periscope as well. I trust this will become a useful piece of information for you. And then I'll get into conversation and also who I am as well. So thanks for coming in, thanks for joining me. If you're here for the first time, would you do me a favor and type in like a 1 in the comments so I know that you're a first timer, just so that I know how much I need to tell you about me, because you may already know this about me and don't need to hear the whole story again. So, and I'll get to the topic shortly. I am padding just a little bit, by the way, because I do a noon scope every day usually, and some of my regular friends and protagonists aren't here yet, so I'm kind of spacing out just a little bit to give them room to get in. So again, if you're here for the first time, you just type a 1 in the comments, and also if you would make sure you're following me for my future Periscopes. And I'll go through quickly who I am, what I'm about, and the topic at hand for today's Periscope broadcast. All right? So my name is Barry Selby. I am a #1 best-selling author. This is my book, 50 Ways to Love Your Lover. Usually shot on my Periscopes. It is a provocative book, entertaining as well, and has 50 principles for healthy relationships, hence the big 50. You can get this on my website with a bunch of other stuff. This is my website, easy to find, barryselby.com. It's going to be evolving soon. I've got some new things happening this year that are already coming forward. So this thematic is definitely part of what's coming forward. So today's topic is about manning up, as it were. And I do a topic on Monday for men, which is Man Up Monday. And on Wednesday, I do one for women called Woman Up Wednesday. Equal opportunity offender. And today's topic is this double standard, actually a double label, because I've seen this happen a few times. And this post that a friend of mine did, woman who's a friend of mine, posted this. She made a comment about feeling like she can't trust men who do this. So I want to speak to that, one, for clarification, and two, hopefully to inform her and anybody, other women out there, how to be more sensitive to trust or not trust as they see fit, and also to the men to go, dude, let's step up a bit, shall we? So that's what the intention of this scope is. So if you're like that yourself, or you know anybody like this, please share this with them, because it might be useful to them, and it might improve your own life too. So, topic at hand is alpha versus arrogance, or the macho versus masculine, or masculine versus macho, depending which order you put it in, for respectively. That's trying the word I'm use. So let me put some foundations underneath this. A lot of people in the comment feed, the news feed of this comment on Facebook, were talking about parallels with the animal kingdom, with lions and wolves and other creatures, about how they work in packs and the alpha in that context. Now I'm speaking about alpha in the human context, because that's what we're about here, and especially about relationship and about relating in this context. So, I'm just seeing a couple of things here. So, all right, so I've got, all right, 1 on the web, 1 live. So that's okay. On the replay, there'll be a lot more people I know, because most of my fans like to follow me there too. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. For the hearts. So, alpha is leadership. Alpha is in the masculine male format. I'm going to speak to that first. And it's the ideal. And a lot of women are looking for this, frankly. For a man who's in his alpha state, which really I would say is the masculine mindset, In fact, let me go back a bit. Let's do masculine versus macho first, and then add alpha and arrogance on top of that, because that'll make more sense. And yes, that was my buddy Stormy meowing in the background. You probably heard him as he went by going, yes, thank you, I've done my business. Thank you for cleaning out the cat litter. He's a happy kid right now. All right. So, the masculine versus macho. The way I describe it simply from what I've studied and learned from my teachers is the macho is the old way of male beingness. And it was really big in the 50s and that sort of generation. But what it simply comes back to is a man who is macho in his machismo is primarily driven by his balls, to be blunt. It's ego-driven, ego perspective, and a selfish place to come from. Versus masculine, in the context of, in the vernacular I've studied and I use myself. So these are my frameworks, and hopefully they'll fit for you too. The masculine is someone who is a man primarily, because the masculine energy is in female as well as male genders at different times. But I'm talking about the aligned natural state that men can be in as a masculine man. Is someone who is driven by his mission, his purpose. Right? Basically, he's got a clear focus and direction, which is like spine. Let's call it spine and open heart, where it's in compassionate, caring, legacy, something giving more than who he is into the world that changes the world around him. And it could be his relationship that he's doing that with, or it could be something out in the world, which could be a social condition or something bigger than that even. So the difference between macho and masculine, one is macho is very self-centered. Masculine is generally more outward focused about making a difference. So, and I've done a scope in much more detail about this a few weeks ago, so you can find it in my archives on catch.me, which I might have. No, I don't have a cheat sheet for that. Syllabi. Yes, I do. Catch.me/barryselby. It's all over there. Since Catch just released, by the way, if you don't know about Catch, this is an archive site for your Periscope broadcast that is automatically set up for free. You just have to go to get an account. Also, by the way, this weekend at the Periscope Summit, they announced new features to be able to put together collections. So I'm in the process of sorting out my broadcasts, because I've got a bunch of broadcasts, putting them into categories for easier reference for you as a viewer, and for me to find them as well, because they're all out there now. There's 270 something out there, which is a lot. Anyway, back to topic. So I did a Periscope broadcast on my Man Up Monday series about 3-4 weeks ago about the macho versus masculine. So I'm not going to go into great detail of that here. You can go watch that one to get more context. But the simplest and clearest way I can say it is, again, macho is more about self-interest, self-focused, and driven by his balls and his ego. The masculine man is someone who's focused on a purpose delivery from heart-based caring, a clarity of vision that is driving him more than his life itself. And in fact, if his purpose is not his relationship, which for most men it's not actually, then a relationship comes second to his purpose. And that's what I've been working on myself as the last 5 years of studying and, in fact, evolving my purpose in the world, because a relationship will only work once this is strong. And I talked about this a lot more in that scope. So now let's move ahead to the arrogance versus alpha state. As I mentioned in, here comes the Stormy the cat again. He's adding his 2 penny with the, he's a cat, he's a guy. So he has his own opinions on the masculine versus macho. So, need to remain quiet. Okay. Arrogance versus alpha. And you may have got a sense of that. You used to be Mr. Nice and always got put in the friends category. Me too. I totally understand what it's like, because to be honest, I think you may have been like I was, maybe. What I had was the macho looked so negative to other people, I just couldn't embody it and wouldn't own it because it wasn't true to me. And I didn't know there's another choice. I had this, it was either this or the nice guy who would basically be the wimp in some ways, at least in my growing up as a kid. So the masculine was an evolved state I didn't understand as a kid, didn't know what it was even. Now I do, and I look back and go, that would have been so much more useful back then. Didn't have it. But speaking to the alpha and the arrogance for a second, because that's what really triggered this whole Periscope broadcast, which is basically laid on top of or in complement to the macho versus masculine. So again, macho, that's what I'm trying to say. Let's do this way around. Macho is the, sorry, I'm just realizing how you're watching it this way. I'm trying to do stage presence at the same time, which is not easy. Macho is, again, self-interest, self-focused, balls-driven, my way or the highway type focus. Masculine is vision, purpose, serving something bigger than himself, making a difference in society, and it's a compassionate legacy type focus. Thank you for inviting your followers. Alpha sits on the same side as masculine in my understanding. And the alpha is someone who basically leads as, well, actually the best way, so there's a book by Alan Greenfield, I think his name is, Greenfield, called Servant Leadership. It's Greenfield or Green something. That term really resonates for the thing about alpha for me. It's leading as a servant in a way where we're out in front doing things for the betterment of those around us. So arrogance is doing it on the macho side, and I'm layering those ways to make it clearer. Yes, I did put that way around to make sure I did stage this properly on the camera. Arrogance is back on the machismo side. It's all about me, my ego, my way the highway, and I'm in charge. Alpha isn't the same thing, and that's what I want to make sure you get clear about. Some people think that alpha is an arrogant style, and I'm using the A's alliteration, sounds easy to say. But truly, alpha is driven by something greater than himself. In the analogy that I mentioned at the beginning of this Periscope, that there's a lot of people in the comment feed that I was watching on Facebook, which is what triggered this Periscope broadcast on a friend's wall. You're just getting me, I'm just getting to that, so thanks for asking the question, because it's just what I'm getting to. The conversation this started from, just a recap for those who didn't get it at the beginning, was a post on Facebook I saw on a friend's wall, that she was having a challenge because she was feeling that her trust was being violated, because she thought she was trusting men who were strong in their alignment where they're going, and in fact we're finding out they were just in it for themselves, and there was more about being a brigand and being like self-interested and focused like that. There's Erica. Hey, just talking about what you posted. I didn't want to say your name until you're on here, so okay, I'm adding you now. But anyway, so what I really was getting clear about was there's a difference between the alpha and the alpha versus the arrogance, which to me lies on top of the masculine versus the macho. And for those two combined, it makes a lot more sense to me to explain it this way. Hi. So, as a recap quickly what I said earlier, macho is basically balls driven, my way the highway, ego driven, in it for himself, and that is arrogance, primarily. Masculine is about purpose. It's driven by heart-focused desire to serve, make a difference in the world, legacy, which could be a relationship, but primarily it's usually a social or an impact in the world bigger than himself. And that's the masculine. And that to me is what the alpha is. The alpha, because in that comment feed, were a lot of people using analogies for the animal kingdom. As I mentioned about the like wolves and lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, no, I didn't go there with it. But in a wolf pack, the alpha is the king of the hill in a way, but not like to be the, like, I'm a boss and look at me. It's more about, I'm leading because I know how to take care of the tribe, the pack. And alpha is almost elected in the pack in a way, because the rest of the pack won't support him if he's not leading effectively. So alpha is, I would say, a service-oriented place. And I talked about, and I want to say his name is Greenfield. It might be Green something else, but he had a book out called Servant Leadership. And servant leadership is really want to explain what the alpha is. The alpha mindset, the alpha culture, or should I say the alpha embodiment in the masculine male mindset, is one of being a leader by serving, or serving to lead, so making a difference. So that in terms of the alpha in the wolf pack, his focus is to make sure the wolf pack is fed. His focus is to make sure the wolf pack stays safe. His focus also is to make sure the wolf pack stays healthy and also is together. So thank you, I appreciate that, Michaela. Nice to have you here. So for me, there's a powerful place that the alpha represents in society as well. There are, now I wasn't going to do this, but I guess I have to. In the current, thank you, Michaela, appreciate that. In the current political situation in the United States, we're getting ready for the new election, so there's like 2 years of all this ramping up and egos and all that sort of stuff, especially now in the final like 8-9 months. Almost everybody on the panels of the, I'm not going to give any names out, but in one side of the political fence, oh, you're new, okay. Been driving, can't comment, but thanks for sharing. Oh, I'm glad I can help you. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it, Dan. And you were right in from the beginning, because he remembered. I said at the beginning, if you're new on my scope, please put a 1 in the comments, and he did. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. I'm glad you stopped at a light or something to be able to type the comments in. So thank you. In the political structure right now, we have a lot of people who are posturing, like surprise, surprise. And that is ego, that's arrogance, that's not alpha. I would say, to be honest, and I gotta be careful because some people don't want to watch this if they get politically upset about this. Some of the people in the political movement, past, present, maybe in the future, are driven by a purpose driven bigger than themselves. It is a masculine for the men and alpha driven focus versus a macho arrogant focus, which for many of them in the past, there's so many documentary history, were in it for themselves. And it's kind of blatant, especially when you look at the history. So to speak to you directly, for men watching, for women who know men out there, this is a pivotal piece. Are you doing things in the world that are serving you only? Are you doing things in the world that are serving the greater good, that as a side effect are serving you, which is the way it should be done, at least my belief. So the alpha focus, and I'm going to see if I can speak into what women can find as a indicator so they can be more trusting of that and knowing when it's the right time. Alpha is something where what the man is doing, the side effect is he might get attention. The side effect is he might get accolades, but it's not really, I'm looking for that word though, but it's like he would get thanks for what he did, but he would do it anyway. The machismo and the arrogant driven one is doing it so he gets praise and gets attention and gets focus. So the focus, the energetic really is that for the, again, is the macho type person, man, I'm using the man example because this is Man Up Monday, my periscope for Mondays. Ladies, you'll get your turn on Wednesdays for Woman Up Wednesdays. But for Man Up Mondays, this conversation is about the men. And the arrogance and the self-interest, which is the macho style, is very indicative of what they're going to be doing in the world, how they talk, how they interact, what they want to get. It's in it for me, 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 and that's self-centered. So anything they do in the world that is bigger than themselves is in it to get the response. So it's not about making the difference, it's about what can I get for that. I'll only do it if I get reward. I'll only do it if I get the love, the props, the accolades. The masculine side, which is the alpha side, is one who's seeing something that needs to be done, a change condition, or a window being closed on a train or something. I mean, anything from little to huge, where it's a recognition that for the greater good of the people around him, for the greater good of the planet, for the greater good of what he's in the world for, this needs to be done. And it can involve sacrifice. But the alpha, which is the masculine, again, I'm layering those together as the same thing, is someone who's in their masculine, man who's in his masculine, again, Man Up Monday. A man who's in his masculine is someone who's in the world to do something of importance for the world, secondarily to himself. And that second may not even happen. It's here because he's there to serve, to make a difference. I feel that's what I'm doing more and more in my life, because up until 8-9 years ago, I didn't know that. I was doing things of service, but it was usually to get praise or feedback. All right, 10 years ago. But it was kind of, I would do things as a way to get noticed. And it was almost because I wanted validation, because I didn't believe in myself back then as much as I do. Now I know why I'm here and what I'm up to. It's easier to give without attachment to result. Because, sorry, without attachment to reward. Because what I'm out in the world doing is to make a difference. I was at an event all day yesterday shooting pictures, which I don't do anymore as a business, but I was shooting for an event. And I know one of my favorite things to do when I'm shooting pictures is to capture that look, that moment of that innocence or that authentic presentation on the camera that will touch somebody's life. And truthfully, if I don't get, I wasn't getting paid for it. I was doing it because I love doing it. There's a joy in that for me, that they will see this and they'll love what they see. That's part of what that feeling is for me. So it could be that simple, or it could be changing the whole planet by bringing a new technology to light of a new environmental resource or something. So again, just to really sum up, because I'm starting to repeat the same thing again. And for those who came in late, good for you. On one side of the conversation is the macho, which is the which is the arrogant focus. Self-interest, self-purpose, my way the highway, in it for me. And basically that will be the kind of indicator when you're around them. You gotta go? Well, thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here, Dan. Thanks for being here for the first time. I appreciate it. Sorry. That's the thing about being single focus. Sometimes I'm like, someone says something, I'm like, off track. Okay, back on track. On one side of the conversation, as was mentioned, there's the macho person versus the masculine. This is for men and for women watching. So just recapping. On the macho side is the arrogance, self-interest, my way, the highway. And for most women, you can pretty much pick that up pretty clearly, that when a man is presenting himself to you, offering something to you, if he's out to get something, you can tell pretty easily. And it's a pretty overt, because we aren't particularly subtle as men, generally speaking. On the other side of the equation, or the other side of the paradigm, is the masculine man who's here to do something good in the world, make a difference. That's the alpha focus, because alpha is almost like leading the way in his own life to get something done. That is important to be done, and it's not about seeking approval or getting things back for it. It's about doing it to make a difference. I think I've already said this clearly enough 7 times by now. And that's really the difference. And for women out there who are watching, who have men in their lives, who are looking for men in their lives to be in this state, you can usually tell the difference. Some are good at hiding it, but most of us are pretty blatant because we don't have the subtlety about ourselves as men. So again, leaning into the feeling tone about being around men. When a man is here to do something good in the world, who's got a focus that is bigger than himself, you may notice the fact that he sometimes does things that are not helping his own health or strength. So sometimes he needs a woman in his world to remind him of those things, because he may forget, because he's so busy helping the project, the focus, the cause out in the world, rather than himself. The other side of the equation, the macho, arrogant side, is totally about self-support. Well, I'm trying to remember what word is. Self-centeredness. So those are the two differences. So that's really the distillation of what I was going to say. And in this conversation, in this point of view about the masculine versus macho, the alpha versus arrogance, I think you find where you are. And frankly, if you're on the macho and arrogant side, you may not even be watching the scope or even care about the scope, because you're too busy focusing on yourself. But if you want to shift out of that and you're really feeling it's time to move, then find out what drives your soul. Find out what it is that drives your heart as a means to make a difference in the world. That puts you into your masculine, it puts you into your alpha state, to get you out in the world to improve the world around you. Because that's what literally the alpha state is. So that's kind of what I'm summarizing this thing up to really come down to, is if you're in it for yourself and screw anybody else, have fun with that. If you're here to make a difference in the world, then you're on my team. You're in my world, and that's what I'm about too. So I welcome you to that. You're welcome, Erica. Hopefully that I hope they expressed more clearly what I was trying to say in my comment on your post. That's what it comes down to. And right now, more and more than ever, there's more need for the men in the masculine, and there's an absolute massive need for women to be in the feminine. That's a whole other conversation. I'll talk about that Wednesday in my Woman Up Wednesday scope. I spoke about it with some people yesterday at the event I was at, which was a women's event. That this year I'll be talking, I know I'm going to be out in the world, and I'm saying it now in this scope, and I'll be saying it on a few more scopes, that I'm being called from within, from without, hearing say that, to find bigger female audiences to speak to, either on stage live or on event stage, virtual stages too, to really invite, inspire, and evoke the feminine on the planet. It's time. Ladies, we need you in your feminine more than ever, and men, we need to be in our masculine to support that. So that's the summary, in a nutshell, what my whole thing's about. So that's it. If you're just going to join the Periscope and watch the whole thing, I did talk about this piece a few different ways, a few different times. You can watch it a few places, if you watch it over if you want in the replay. Thanks for watching my scopes. If you're not already following me, please make sure you do follow me on Periscope, so you can tap the little guy in the corner or swipe right on the iPhone up on the droid and tap on my profile and tap follow me. And please share the replay, share this scope out with your followers on Periscope and Twitter. There's some good stuff here. So, and I'll be back on again tomorrow with my daily love scope. I do these love scopes pretty much every day of the week. And thanks for following me. And otherwise, I'll see you around. If you want to check out my website, again, it is barryselby.com. It's due for a revamp, but that's where everything about me is for now. Although, frankly, with my Periscope broadcasts, my website looks a bit out of date. I've just been talking, new stuff comes through as I talk, so that's the joy of Periscope. And again, my book on Amazon and on my website is 50 Ways to Love Your Lover. It is #1 bestseller, and there's some good stuff in there too. Okay, I'm signing off. I will be back on again tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves.
Bye.